It seems like most designers that you come across in the industry did not really go to design school. And I'm sure this is a trend that you have observed, checking out designer profiles on Twitter, LinkedIn, and wherever else you might have come across them. This is definitely an encouraging trend for those who want to get started in design without really going to college for 4 years. And sometimes, most of the times, that's really not the most efficient way. In this video, we're going to be talking about a roadmap that you can follow if you're trying to figure out your transition. Now, entry into this roadmap could be, number one, you're in college and trying to figure out design as a career before you graduate or you're about to graduate. That pretty much is how I got my start too. And number two would be you're trying to transition into design, maybe from a different career. Maybe it's still tech and product related, but in this video, I'm going to show you a rough outline of how to get started. And keep in mind, starting out, everybody faces very similar problems, no matter where you are. Your starting point might be different, but the challenges you face will be pretty similar. All right, chalo. Let's get started, guys. Serious baat. Today, we're going to do design roadmap, okay? What we're doing is we're trying to figure out a design roadmap for 2023 in an AI world. That's what we're going to be doing today. Exciting? Exciting? Should we talk about this? First thing, bro, let's just do this. Let's do this. I want to help you guys with the visualization. Since we're talking about a roadmap, let's figure out where do we want to go. We want to go here. Kya hai ye jagah? What is this place? Let's say you are here right now and you want to go here. That's the roadmap that we're going to talk about today. Now, the main thing to understand, number one, is where do you want to go? For any roadmap, a destination is important. Yes, the way you get to the destination, the actual steps that you walk across is super important, but what is the destination, right? So when we're saying design roadmap, the destination, let's just play it out, right? What do you imagine that destination to be? Am I right? Am I right? Is this the destination we're talking about? You want to be a designer. Here, there are certain skills associated with this, right? You need to understand Figma. You need to understand how to solve problems, right? It's not tool alone. It's also you need to understand what to do with it. Where does the tool happen in the overall process, right? There are skills and then there are tools. Build and design products. Overall, as a designer today, most of the time what we're making is we're making app, we're making website. Now, those of you who saw the Humane stream, you know that the world that we're living in, technology, very likely that we have new types of apps, new types of technologies, right? Whether that's ChatGPT plugins, whether that's more around Web3 as these technologies become mainstream, or it could also be around just AI tools in general, right? It could be AR. When Apple comes out with its headset, yeah, there are going to be apps that are going to be developed for it, right? So build and design product. Right now, as of now, apps and websites are the main things that we build. And understanding how to build apps, how to build websites prepares you for this upcoming generation, for these new products. Work with a creative team. Now, of course, we want to work with good people. Why? Because the better people that we work with, the more our skills can improve, right? Why do we want to work with good people? So that we have growth, right? This growth can be personal, it can be professional. And of course, if you're already in a company and you want to move to a role that pays more, you have to become worth more. You want to make more money. People, the companies, clients. Overall, we're doing it so that we get some growth. And in general, we want to make money as a designer. This could be, when you're starting out, it could be internships. It could be freelancing. It could be full-time, right? You want to make money as a designer. Internship, freelance, full-time. So we have this roadmap. We're talking about this. You need to know these skills, tools. You want to build products. You want to work with good people, better people than maybe the ones you're working with right now. You want to have the skills that gives you an opportunity to be with really smart people, to work with really smart people. You want it such that your skills, your online proof of work lets you confidently cold DM people and be like, hey, I want to work. They look at your work and they're like, wow, we need to hire this person. This person's work is amazing. Right? That's your destination. It's good to visualize. It's a good idea to think about what this outcome is, right? Because a lot of times people are unclear about this. They are unclear about मैं exactly करना क्या चाहता हूँ, right? Because you might, like this visualization that I've drawn for you, you are here. You want to make it to the other side. Now, why is there a huge gap in between? Because the question is, bro, if you know you want all these things, you want to be a better designer, work with people, make more money, work with creative teams. If you already know these things, why have you not already figured it out? Why have you not already figured it out? Because it's challenging, because it takes time. And there is this chasm that you have to cross. There are obstacles on this path, right? And here is where you want to be. Now let's talk about how do you get there. And the way I'm going to break this down, right? Since we're doing a roadmap, let's actually draw this out. Busted. As a designer, I cannot draw straight lines. Busted. I got this new AI tool that straightens my lines. Okay, let's talk. So the roadmap, right? Here is how I would divide this roadmap. I'm going to divide this into 3 parts. The first part, this 0 to 3 years. The second part, which is this, let's just say this is the middle, right? So 3 to 10. And then, of course, there is the 5 plus, right? And you might be wondering why is it not 10 plus? I'll talk about that. But overall, let's divide it into these 3 categories and let's talk about each of these, right? This is your, let's say 5-year, 10-year, your career roadmap as a designer overall. Okay, 0 to 3 years. What are you doing 0 to 3 years? Typically, 0 to 3 years, you are the intern, right? You are interning somewhere, or you are the moonlighter. You guys know what moonlighting is? It's basically you're either in a job or you are in college and you are using whatever time you have available to design, right? You're using whatever limited time you have to slowly get into design. So typically, these are the types of people you will find. You will find people who've done internships, right? The moonlighter, it could be because you are in college or you're in office, you're working somewhere. Now, 0 to 3 years, you could also be the novice, right? You are somebody who maybe understands Figma. You understand Figma, but you are not really sure about what's that next step. How do I go from knowing Figma to being a designer at a startup, right? Where people are giving me design responsibilities of a company. That's different from knowing Figma, right? So you have the novice, you've got the, let's just say the all-in-one. You guys know what the all-in-one is? The all-in-one is somebody who started designing and basically does a lot of, let's say, Photoshop, design, and this all-in-one might also be an intern at a company. But overall, what I typically see is this is not a very big category. But overall, the reason I put it there is non-UX, right? Non-UI UX. So some design, but not UI or UX, or let's just say product work. So if you are in this part of your journey, you're 0 to 3 years, overall, the bad news that I have for you is you don't automatically make it to this next, right? A lot of people will exit at this point, right? You're going to exit. You're going to do a little bit of design, but then you're going to catch on to the next thing. You're going to say, I like video editing, or I want to be I heard prompt engineering. I want to do AI, right? The moonlighter is also a dabbler, right? You're dabbling in multiple things, but without actually making a commitment to product design, you're probably not going to make it to this middle category. So this roadmap that I'm showing you, right? This roadmap does have drop-offs. There is no guarantee that if you're on this roadmap, you're going to move forward. You could also exit this roadmap completely and go out. But if you are just the creative dude who is just doing some design stuff, become the intern. Specifically, you want to become the UX and product intern, that's the kind of work you're doing. If you're a novice, or let's say if you are a creative dude who does not know Figma, you only know Photoshop, you then need to first learn Figma and then you need to get an internship. That's your next thing, right? How do you do internship? How do you do all that? I'll talk about that in just a sec, right? We'll talk a little bit more. But if you are a moonlighter, right, either you do a lot more of this, right? So a moonlighter is actually a perfect place to be. A moonlighter is kind of a low stakes thing where you're pushing yourself forward. You're still kind of juggling multiple things. So you're not all in, but you're kind of managing, you're getting some projects, some of these projects that you do will become, let's draw another map, right? To help you visualize. Make money as a designer. If this is your goal, you need to get hired. If you want to get hired, you either get hired as an intern. You want to make money as a designer, you either get hired as an intern, you get hired full time, or you do freelance. How do you get this? How do you even get hired? Let's talk even further. The way you do that is get selected, let's just say convert interviews. You want to actually get interviews, because without doing interviews, you're not going to get opportunities. Nobody's going to call you up and say, hey, do you want a job? I heard you became a designer. You actually have to apply, right? If you want to make money as a designer, you need to get hired. You need to get hired in one of these type of roles, interns, full-time, or freelance. How do you actually get it? You have to convert interviews, which means you have to be good at them. How do you convert interviews? We're breaking this down, right? We're breaking this down from a design perspective. How do you convert interviews? You have to actually sit for interviews, right? So you have to apply to lots of places. And how do you actually increase your chances of getting in, right? We're going even deeper. How do you apply? You have to do more calls. How do you do more calls? Or when should you do this? You need to have a portfolio. Now, what does your portfolio have? It has case studies. What do your case studies include? What do I include in that? Case studies have project. How do I work on project? You have to first know Figma. How do I learn Figma? This is kind of where you start, right? And you work your way up. At each of these stages, there are different things to figure out, right? Like, for example, once you get into this category here, freelance, there's a lot of freelance specific learnings that you can do, right? Like over here, the relevant roadmap to you becomes freelancing. How do I go deep into freelance? You watch more freelance content, you consume more freelance resources. So if at this point you're fully committed to making a career in design and becoming a better designer, applications for cohort 7 of 10K designers are opening in the next couple of days. This is our special cohort-based course where we've developed a curriculum as well as a 3-month learning journey where you and I, we meet every single week in live sessions that have breakout activities that get you to actually work on projects. These projects can be used in your portfolio, and with a very strong network of mentors as well as alumni in some of the best companies in India, we've helped hundreds of designers find internships, full-time jobs, freelance projects, as well as get ready for going abroad for their masters in design. So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, check it out, 10K Designers. And for now, let's get back to the video. I'm going to do a little bit of cheating and I'm going to show you a roadmap I've made in advance. Okay, I cheat a bit. But overall, this is what this roadmap kind of looks like, right? This is my perspective on. You are in that 0 to 3 year category, you are typically figuring something out. Now, what you need is you need your internship, your freelance projects, all of this, you're building this up, right? Now, let me make it very clear. You could, within 6 months, move to this middle stage, technically, right? Which is the IC designer, the individual contributor in a company, right? You are a product designer at startup name, right? Although it says 3 to 10 years, let's just say 0 to 1 if efficient. This is roughly how I kind of imagine this, right? In this 3 to 10 years, you will also find people who are managers, right? These are people who are not exactly individual contributors. Maybe they're team leads. They do a balance of managerial versus independent work. You also have a lot of side hustlers during this point, which is you're comfortable with design. So you are now using your design skills in other things as well, right? You're a freelance bro, you're a media bro, you're a business bro, right? These are just some categories I'm just coming up with. And beyond this, which is 5+ years, which is once you've actually figured out design, you can figure out what's next, right? You can start your own agency, right? Your design team. Together, you're saying, we are going to do projects together. You could become a founder of a company. Today with ChatGPT, it's probably getting easier to build a company, although that's not my niche, that's not my category, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. You could continue down the IC path, the individual contributor. You could also become the vibes priest, the vibes dude. And of course, I'm not going to talk too much about that. In general, this is how I kind of imagine these maps. Now, of course, this is my writing, so you don't 100% understand this. But what I will say is these are kind of the pitfalls in this map, right? In an ideal scenario, you would move through this asani se. You just do it, right? It's no big deal. You just do it. It's not a big deal. Learn, do projects, just move through. But if you're here and if you've been stuck, here's why. If you're in college, typically you have things like placements, right? You have things like assignments. You have this guilt that you're constantly distracted by things. You also want to enjoy your college life. You have this uncertainty. You have these multiple paths available. Should I sit for placement? Should I not? You have this general underconfidence because you're like, everything I know is about college. I don't understand how the industry works. You also have maybe a lack of a leading figure, right? Maybe you're used to having all this help and support, and now this is something you have to figure out all by yourself for the first time. These are challenges you face if you are starting out and you are stuck here. You're stuck in this 0 to 3 initial phase, right? This is, in general, a trough of sorrow, which I've made a separate category here, but I'm just going to talk about it. If you're mid-career and you want to switch to design, right? Usually the reasons that are stopping you are the things that are making it hard. Or you don't have enough time. You're kind of in a corporate environment. Now you might be in a trough of sorrow where maybe you graduated, maybe ghar pe baithe hoye hain, bro. And you're like, life is good, AI is coming, what do I need to do? Kya hai, right? You're not really making that progress. Again, what makes you stuck is that feeling of confusion overall, right? comfortable. You might be stuck here because you're comfortable in the sense that you are good, but not exactly the best, right? Things are tolerable, right? Some things are quite shit, like maybe your job sucks or something like that, or you're not really, you feel like you're kind of stuck. You're kind of exploring, but you're shy to actually make a commitment, right? You want to make more money, but you're unclear. You've had a lot of in the past, I've been thinking of, I want to try, but then you didn't do it. And now you feel a little demotivated because of that. You're like, you're questioning yourself a little bit. Maybe you're focusing on something else. Maybe, you know, work is not your primary thing. And so maybe you're feeling a little guilty. You're like, you know, I should be working, but you know, मेरे लिए अपनी body ज़्यादा important है, bro, right? You're just busy with something else in life. Or मेरे लिए relationships ज़्यादा important है, bro. Like I want to actually focus on dating for some time, right? I don't have that much time to think about career moves and shit. It's okay. ठीक है, bro. Happens. But overall, this last thing, right? What I call optimized here is you are kind of balanced. You found your thing that works, right? Optimized is this last thing, right? A leader, a design leader is somebody who has optimized for being really good with people, really good with articulation, being able to talk, really good at working cross-functionally, right? Across teams, really good at motivating others to do work, right? Being there, making sure other people are successful, doing that through your support, and they're good in working in an organization. So it's not that they're the best designer ever, right? But they've optimized to become a leader, a design leader, which means they might not have the time every single day as a VP of design to worry about what are these new Figma plugins or, you know, improving on those skills, but they've optimized for something else. Similarly, as a founder, you might have optimized for, I want to run a design agency, bro, right? Maybe you are at that level where you do not have that confusion and you're like, I just want to run a design agency. That's actually my goal. I want to have clients. I want to have 2-3 really good, solid designers that I'm working with. I have somebody who talks to these clients and does all these calls, but we're making a couple crores, bro. And we are a design agency, right? Maybe that's your thing. So that's you optimized. Similarly, you could be an executive, right? Similar to being a leader. Although executive kind of means in a corporate setting. A leader, you know, technically I would say I've kind of optimized for that leader thing, which is I'm not really making pixel ke pakode all the time, but I am still designing and I'm still very deeply involved in design, but optimized for the different things. But overall, this is the kind of roadmap I want to show you. I wish you the best of luck. Check out the other videos on the channel if you want to see more. Applications for Cohort 7 open in a couple of weeks as of releasing this video. Keep an eye out and hope to see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye-bye.